We're live.
Hello everyone, and thanks for coming to the Cabinet of 8th of February 2021. My name's Mark Allison, I'm leader of the Council. Cabinet members are here. Also got Councillor Bembo and Southgate are both here in attendance, as well as various officers. Hopefully everyone will be able to hear us and look forward to the meeting. So item 1 is apologies. I have no apologies for today. Okay, so there's no apologies. Item 2, are there any declarations of interest? I see no declarations of interest, so there's none there. Item 3, can we agree the minutes of the last meeting, which was held on the 18th of January 2021? I can see nobody disagreeing with the minutes, so we'll agree to the minutes. I thought just before we went on to the main, the business that's been scheduled, it might actually be worthwhile, as this is a meeting in public, for us to say a little bit to update residents on what's been going on with COVID in the last few weeks, and in particular, with developments in Pollard's Hill over the last week. So we were told around about this time last week, and we were the last council to know about the identification of a case of the South African variant being found in Merton. And what I'd like to do is to take this opportunity to thank all of the council staff and NHS staff for mobilising so quickly to put in place the measures that the government had asked from us, and to have the enhanced testing facility set up. Just want to reassure the people of Merton that it is just one case that's been identified, and that it was a case that was actually from somebody who was tested several weeks ago. And we know that because people in Merton have been doing a really great job complying with the regulations and the rules and the advice during COVID, and people have been distancing, they've been staying in unless they need to, and they've been wearing masks when they've been out. As a result of that, the number of cases of COVID in Merton have fallen by more than 2/3. So we'd really like to thank residents for the way that they've got involved in helping us to tackle COVID by sticking to the rules. And if they have been sticking to the rules, which they have, then we would expect to see the number of cases staying low, and we wouldn't expect to see a big spread of the virus. Also, I just wanted to reassure residents that the case and the activity that we're making is really restricted to the Pollard's Hill area. It was reported last Monday when the news first came out that it was something that affected the whole of Mitcham or the whole of CR4. And I'd just like to reassure people that the affected area is just Pollard's Hill, but also that even in the affected area of Pollard's Hill, really you don't need to do any more than you're actually currently doing in terms of complying with the rules. There isn't a stronger lockdown. Just stick to the rules and we'll keep the spread down. The only thing that we are asking for people who live in that affected area is to please get this enhanced test, because then we will be able to tell whether the South African virus has spread any further. I should also say that I'm so proud of the staff and the community. The staff have been out for Merton staff. We've redeployed around about 40 members of staff, but also many others have been helping, and quite a lot of them have been out in the cold. Today it's been a bit grim, so I think that we really should, as a cabinet, extend our thanks to everybody. But overall, this has been a really great exercise. It's shown that we've got a great community, I've been out in Pollard Hill myself, and the reaction of everyone and the way that people have come together and the community spirit that's been shown really, proves to me what I've been saying for some time, that Merton is a great place and a great community. Anyway, our staff have been fantastic. They've got all of what was required up and running within 48 hours, which I think is an incredible achievement. And the last I'd heard, we'd had more than 3,000 tests sent out or done in just over 3 days. What has been happening since then? I have been raising issues with government and with others around about our concerns to do with isolation payments. We're worried that there's a little bit of nervousness by some residents who, if they got tested and were found to be positive, would lose income. And because isolation payments are means tested and take some time to get, it may be that that leads to some resistance from people to get tested. So we're calling for the government to make sure that the isolation payments are automatic in this case, because it is so important that people do get tested. And there are also issues with because of the way that the news came out initially, that CR4 was affected or Mitcham was affected. We're quite concerned about residents being treated badly. Employers saying that, oh, you live in CR4, don't come to work. Or delivery companies saying, oh, you live in CR4, we're not going to deliver. Or I heard one case of somebody whose washing machine wouldn't be, the company was refusing to fix it because they lived in CR4. And I've stressed that there is no reason for work to stop in CR4. There is no reason for people not to come to CR4. And I'm trying to get the government to be even clearer that just because there has been one case, everything should carry on as normal, and Mitcham and CR4 shouldn't be treated badly by anybody. So I'd like to reassure everybody who's listening today that we have taken up these issues with the government, that we are taking it seriously, and that this is a very important thing to us, that Mitcham, CR4 and Pollard Hill are treated with the respect that they deserve, because over the last week, Mitcham, CR4 and Pollard Hill have shown themselves to be an absolutely amazing community. I'm, after what's happened over the last week, even more proud of that bit of Merton and the whole of Merton than I ever was before. So I'll just close by sort of like saying thank you very much to everybody. It's been a really great achievement, and I'm really, really pleased with the work that you've done, the staff, residents, the whole community. Rebecca, Councillor Lanning, did you want to add anything as the Cabinet Member for Health Services?
Thank you, Chair. I think I really just want to take the opportunity to echo the leader's remarks and extend my thanks to council teams, but also our voluntary sector partners, the police and the local NHS for mobilising at such pace. It really has been an extraordinary community effort to be able to deliver 3 routes of testing within 48 hours, as the leader said, but also to provide reassurance to residents both in Pollard's Hill, where although the data is still coming in from the weekend, it looks as though more than half of residents in the ward may have already accessed a test as part of this national enhanced testing effort. But also the reassurance provided to the wider CR4 area following what was unfortunate national miscommunication about where enhanced testing would take place. And lastly, I just wanted to thank those asymptomatic residents in the wider CR4 area who are continuing to access where they need to Morden Assembly Hall, but also our network of community pharmacies to get the lateral flow test, which can give them the confidence to continue their role as a key worker, their volunteering and their caring responsibilities. So just a thank you to all those involved for getting us here.
Thank you. Could I also bring in Councillor Martin Welton as the very proud ward member for the affected area of Pollard Hill. I'm sure you've got some great things to say about your community there, Martin.
Thank you, Councillor Ellison. I have to say it's been a great community effort in terms of the work that's gone in, but also as well in terms of communicating to local residents to get tested throughout the ward. I think we owe a huge debt to council officers. But I'd also as well like to extend my thanks to Commonside Trust and the EU Horizon Centre, who have been handing out the self-testing kits over the past few days, but also as well NHS, Merton, especially Wide Way Surgery and Dr. Mohan. It's good that we have quite good community infrastructure in Pollard Hill, because it does enable us to pull obviously a number of organisations together quite quickly. It's been a huge logistical operation, and the original information released by government last Monday was unhelpful, but it's important that once we knew what the exact position was, to get clear messages out there for people to actually get tested. And I'm very pleased to hear this evening that over half of Pollard Hill looks like they've got tested, and hopefully it will be most of Pollard Hill by the end of the period. It's very important that people do get tested, and this is a hugely challenging situation, but I think we've acted admirably in terms of it. Thank you.
Yeah, and I should also add my thanks to you and the other councillors in Pollard Hill, Martin, for the community leadership that you've shown, and Siobhan McDonough, the local MP, as well, for galvanising the community and keeping everybody informed. I think it's been a really great example of all levels working together really well, which is probably a good moment to bring in the Chief Executive, Jed Curran. Jed, I know that I'd like you to say if there's anything further that you can add, but if I can formally use this as a chance through you for all of us on Cabinet to thank your staff for the amazing work that they have done over the past week. It's been a real brilliant piece of work. But do you have anything further that you'd like to add?
Thank you, Leader, and I'll certainly make sure that those messages are passed on to all the staff. Very little really extra for me to say. I'd like to associate myself with the things you've been saying, with things Councillor Lanning said, and Councillor Welton with his intimate knowledge of the Pollard Hill area. It is the case that members have been a significant contributor to helping engage with the community, as indeed has the local MP, who has used all of her networks and connections to assist us. It has been a team effort, as with most of the things that we do, and it has involved many of the public sector plus the voluntary sector coming together. I would mention a couple of people in particular, though, some of whom have already been mentioned. I'd particularly like to highlight the work of Bob Whitehead in the Metropolitan Police, who has worked extremely hard to engage their resources to help us. Mohan Sakiram, who we've already mentioned, as a local GP, has been enormously influential, as has Naomi Martin in the Commonside Trust, and Suzanne Hudson at the Citizens Advice Bureau in Merton. They have been particularly helpful in assisting with what we're trying to do. And as we've noted already, we have given kits out to more than half of the residents now in the Pollard Hill area. We have had 40% of those returned already, which is more than we had targeted for at this stage. As Councillor Welton was saying, it's really important that people do have the tests and do return the kits. But thank you to the whole community, really, for the way they've responded to this challenge. Thank you, Leader.
No, thank you. We've given the rather awkward task to the representative from Democratic Services to try and minute all our thanks and all the tributes that we've made. Although this isn't actually an agenda item, it's something that's been added at the last minute, but hopefully that can be done so that we can put on record our gratitude to everybody. But anyway, unless anyone else has anything else to add, I'll move on to the first proper item of the meeting tonight, and that's item 4, which is the Financial Monitoring Report 2020 to 21, dated December 2020. And the lead member on that is Councillor Tobin Byers.
Thank you, Chair. As you say, this is the financial report for period 9, which takes us up to December 2020. This is the normal monthly report that comes to Cabinet to ensure that we are properly monitoring our budgets. I'd just like to thank Caroline Holland and Roger Kershaw and their respective teams for all the work that they do in pulling these together and ensuring that we are properly monitoring spend each month. I just draw colleagues' attention to the net adverse variance has got slightly worse from the previous months. We're now showing a net adverse variance of £4.3 million, down from £2.8 million. And that is predominantly due to a negative swing in environment and regen, which is predominantly due to the impact on certain income streams in ENR as a result of the recent restrictions. I did want to just say, Chair, that there was a suggestion at Council last week that the government support announced in the spending review has meant that it's kept its promise to fully recompense local authorities for all of the work that we've done in tackling the pandemic. And I did just want to draw colleagues' attention specifically to page 17 of the report, which provides a COVID-19 cost summary and shows quite clearly that we are still now over £9 million worse off as a result of the pandemic. And I'd remind colleagues that Robert Jenrick, Secretary of State's promise was that he would fully recompense local authorities to do whatever it takes in responding to the pandemic. And that table shows quite clearly that the council is the best part of £10 million worse off as a result of the work that we've done to support our community. And I think it's important that that is noted. I don't intend to go through the report department by department, but I think, as I've said on previous occasions, a review of the report cover to cover shows just what an impact COVID has had. It has impacted every department in some way, either with lost income or additional spend. And I just want to add my thanks to those already given to all of the staff for the work that they do in trying as best they can to keep to the budgets that we set, and particularly in these incredibly challenging circumstances. I do want to express my gratitude to them, and again to Caroline and Roger for their work on this report and in monitoring each month. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Tobin. The lead officer on this, Caroline Holland, the Director of Corporate Services, is here. Caroline, would you like to add anything to Tobin's report?
Thank you, Chair. I suppose just to add that there is some further income to come from the sales fees and charges. We will be calculating that when we do the return for April. So you can clearly see the impact of 1 month having on the parking income in particular. And there was also some shortfall in our library services as well. So we will be looking to be able to claim some of that money back, but we don't know quite the full extent at this stage. I also just wanted to say there were some further adjustments to the capital programme in light of either reviewing slippage or as a result of a decision taken at the January Cabinet around the extension of our financial system. We've been able to slip the monies in the programme for its replacement a further year, so that has helped as well. Clearly, there is the debt report, which shows the quarter position for December, and there has been an increase in the debt outstanding, which in some ways is understandable at this stage, and particularly with COVID. And just to flag, there's been an increase in SIL monies not being received. So there's going to be a review of how we look to get those monies in. So it won't have an impact at this stage on the schemes that we have funded through a strategic SIL, but there may be a further impact down the line if we don't recover those monies. And just to give you some assurance around the increase in corporate services on the legal services, we have been chasing our colleagues and the partnership for the monies due to us. So that is being followed up as well. Thank you, Chair.
No, thank you, Caroline. Appreciate the work that everybody in your team and yourself has done on this. I can't see any other speakers. So we'll move to the recommendations. Thank you, Tobin and Caroline and everybody. It's obviously worth noting that it's disappointing that the full costs of COVID to the council are not being met, and that this is adding to pressure on our budgets this year. But I think as Cabinet, we'd like to thank everybody for their hard work on balancing our money. If we can move to recommendations A and B in the report, are they agreed? I can't see any dissent, so they're agreed. Thank you very much. Which means we move on to item 5, the award of main services contract for Merton Adult Learning. There's also some exempt papers here, and if we wanted to speak to them, we'd have to exclude the public. I'm going to ask members of Cabinet not to refer to them, and then we can carry on as an ordinary public meeting, if that's okay. And so the lead member on this is Councillor Caroline Cooper-Marbier. Caroline, do you want to introduce it?
Thank you, Leader. Can I start off by saying thanks to Anthony and his team for the work they've done on this report. But the report is about awarding the main contract for the provision of adult learning services in Merton. And the contract is for 3 years initially, with the option to extend it by a further 2 years. The contract will account for approximately 80% of the courses to be delivered. The successful bidder has made a commitment to providing high standard learning facilities and use a variety of learning resources for both accredited and community learning courses. They are also committed to adapting their provision to the skills needs of residents and working to increase the number of learners on these courses. These are all very important in light of the COVID-19 pandemic, where so many people are losing jobs and many will need to be reskilled. Also, young adults will need to develop new skills as we recover from the pandemic. So I'm very pleased that we will have a first-class service on our doorstep for our residents. The service has made significant improvements since it moved to a commissioned model of service for adult learning in 2016. It was awarded a good rating a few years later, following the Ofsted inspection in 2019. As a former cabinet member for education, I know the enormous amount of work that any educational establishment undergo when being inspected by Ofsted. So at this point, I really like to once again say thanks to all of our officers for the work they've put into this, and also the current provider who have had to carry on a lot of work to be able to achieve this. So this is a great achievement, and just like to say thank you to everyone involved. We received funding from the Greater London Authority and the Education and Skills Agency Fund to deliver adult education services in the borough. This is in recognition of the crucial role the skills agenda plays in equipping our residents to contribute to the community plan, which is aimed at promoting economic well-being and narrowing the equality gap between the east and the west of the borough. Now, for this award, 5 submissions were received during the tendering process and evaluated accordingly. It has gone through all the necessary procedure. The full details are in the attached appendices. The current contract was awarded in August 2016 and will end on the 31st of July 2021. So this award is expected to commence on 1st of August 2021, and I therefore ask that Cabinet approve the recommendations. Thank you, Chair.
No, thank you, Caroline, for your work on this, and it's a really excellent, comprehensive report you've just given. I'm delighted to say that the officers who are leading on this are also here. Anthony Hopkins, the head of Library Heritage and Adult Education Services here, and also Hannah Doody, who's the Director of Community and Housing. You've heard Caroline saying thank you for your work on it, but was there anything that you'd like to add in addition to what Caroline's just said?
Nothing from me, Chair.
Nothing to add, Chair, but happy to take any questions.
Okay, no problem. Thank you for attending tonight, and thank you for the work that you put into it. I did see that a couple of councillors wanted to add something to what Caroline had said. Councillor Martin Welton, would you like to say something?
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to add that I was the Cabinet member back in 2015 when we took the very difficult decision to move to a commission service for Merton Adult, given the losses that the service was sustaining previously, and it has enabled it to be put on a stable long-term footing in terms of its finances, which it wasn't on previously, but also as well in terms of the priorities for the service has to be in terms of employment and work. So I think it justifies the decision we took. I'm obviously very pleased it has got good in its Ofsted, and hopefully the service will go from strength to strength in the years ahead, because adults education has a very important role to play, especially in terms of lifelong learning, but also as well re-equipping people with the skills they need. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin, that's brilliant. And Councillor Owen Pritchard.
Thank you. Again, I want to say thank you. Thank you to Caroline and Anthony and his team for doing the work on this particular procurement exercise, but also for the people who laid the foundations for it previously, people like Martin, but also last year, the development of the adult learning strategy, which this clearly fits into. And also thanks to the GLA and the SFA for the funding in this area, which without which this wouldn't happen. But in truth, this project couldn't be more timely. We've got a economic and potentially employment crisis coming up, and one of the key tools at our disposal is the upskilling and reskilling of our residents. So programs and initiatives like this have never been more important, and I'm delighted to see this council taking such a clear leadership role in preparing our residents for the economic difficulties that are coming.
No, thanks for that, Owen. Really strong words. Thank you. And amongst the cabinet members who've had this in their brief for a while is Councillor Ellie Stringer, and it's worth noting our thanks to her for her work on developing adult learning over the last few years. But there's no further contributions, so I think it was just worth noting that this work guarantees the financial stability of the service as well as the quality of the service. It's not a huge market out there, but it's good to have so many high quality bids. I think it's also worth us noting, whilst we've got the chance, the great improvement in the service over the past few years, and that's a tribute to the hard work of many people. So can we also thank our staff, thank the provider, thank residents for supporting our adult learning as well. If that's all okay, there are two recommendations 1 and 2 on page 79. Can those be agreed? There's no dissent, so thank you to everybody. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Hannah. I think that may be the last item on the agenda tonight. So thank you all for coming, and we'll see you soon. Close the meeting. Oh, Councillor, sorry, not Councillor, Jed Curran, did you want to add something?
I was merely saying farewell to everybody, Leader.
We'll all do that, the Zoom wave then. That's the end of the meeting. Bye-bye.